Greetings, dearest remnant. This is part 2 of the Aurora series video concerning the significance of the auroras that were present on November 11th of 2025, which is a date akin to 1111, which is the year that Satan's little season started. So the auroras occurring on that date are pointing to the end of the season that started in the year 1111, which is Satan's little season, and heralding the beginning of the age of righteousness, which at some point ultimately we will see, I believe, a manifestation, a very clear manifestation of the Principate of Mashiach. And so, continuing with what we were talking about, dear remnant, I believe that the Revelation 29, that is Revelation chapter 20, verse 9, attack, when Gog Magog surrounded the camp of the saints, occurred either in the recent past or even further back in time. And I'll elaborate on that in a future video. At the time of the attack, the camp of the saints in Eden, I believe, were on the surface of the earth at the North Pole. After the attack, I believe Eden and the camp of the saints were moved by Yahuah into the inner earth, which is where Admiral Byrd saw them. More than likely, Yahuah moved them into the inner earth for safety, because as I will also elaborate in a future video, the United States or United Nations exploded 3 nuclear bombs, supposedly in Antarctica, in the late 1940s. This information about the nuclear bomb explosions is from a YouTube video, which I will also share with you in future. And so in our time, the Garden of Eden is in the inner earth and is the abode of the camp of the saints. The auroras from heavenly Jerusalem penetrate through the opening in the earth at the North Pole and give the Garden of Eden its rainbow colors. Until the attack on the camp of the saints, it was possible to get to the camp by traveling due north. Some books from the 18th and 19th century, which are currently considered just fiction, such as The Smoky God by Emerson and Paradise Found by William Warren, have accounts of voyages to Eden. If, as I believe, the camp of the saints is in the inner earth, which I deduce from Admiral Byrd's diary, then the attack of Revelation 20 verse 9 must be in the past. It has descended into the inner earth and become unreachable by human means. Admiral Byrd, according to the description he gave in his diary, was mysteriously transported into the inner earth, having lost control of his plane. How are humans to participate in a Revelation 20 future attack if the enemy can easily render their fighter jets inert? Or is this why the transhuman agenda is being pushed as a way to bypass the supernatural defenses of the camp of the saints? Well, that could be, of course, why they're planning their transhuman, or one of the reasons why. However, there is no power greater than Yahuah's. That is something that the enemy does not understand. My belief is that a possible future attack will not be the first but the second attempt to destroy the camp of the saints in our era. But that second possible attack, which might be what they're planning now, is not something that is even prophesied in the scriptures, because Gog should have been destroyed by the fire that came from heaven in the first attack. I believe there is evidence of this first attack, that it already occurred, and I'll share that with you in a future video. I'm trying to stay on point with the auroras in this video. Okay. The first attack on the camp of the saints likely occurred between 1900 and the 1940s, around the time that World War II ended. But if the event is in the future and Gog Magog are leading the attack, and Magog is geographically in Siberia, as historical evidence suggests, then why is Siberia currently mostly uninhabited? Of course, they could be lying to us that Siberia is mostly uninhabited, but it seems that by all accounts, and given the accounts of various researchers and other travelers, as well as the various groups that are native to the area and live there, the area is mostly uninhabited. And some people who have traveled into the area have reported strange events occurring in that region, which, as a matter of fact, there's a part of that region which is called the Valley of Death, which very clearly refers to or was prophesied in the book of Ezekiel, the Valley of Hamon-Gog, where the bodies of Magog, after they were taken out by Yahuah, when the camp was surrounded, which I believe was between 1900 and 1940, their bodies were buried in the Valley of Hamon-Gog, which today, like I said, there's an area called the Valley of Death in Siberia. So that and other evidence, which I'll share with you in future, indicate that that attack on the camp of the saints is in the past. Now here is let's just look at what Revelation 20 verse 8 to 9 tells us about the attack on the camp of the saints. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog Magog, to gather them together for battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the Kodeshim are saints, about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from heaven, and devoured them. And so the Holy Scriptures tell us that the attackers are Gog, Magog, and the nations, who are as many as the sand of the sea. They attacked the camp of the saints and the beloved city upon the earth, because they go up on the breadth of the earth. The Scriptures do not tell us that at the time of the Revelation 20 verse 9 attack, the camp of the saints is within the inner earth. Yet I believe evidence suggests the camp of the saints is currently located in the inner earth. Now, the beloved city, I believe, is Holy City, Jerusalem. If it was no longer visible after the millennial reign ended, which is what I believe, how could it be surrounded in a future attack? And well, as I'm saying, I believe that the attack occurred between 1900 and 1940, or maybe into the 1950s, possibly. At that time, Holy City, Jerusalem, would not have been visible either. Well, the way that I see it is that the Auroras have been above the camp of the saints ever since the millennial reign ended. And they are visible above the camp of the saints because Holy City, Jerusalem is above the camp of the saints, and it is an interdimensional city. So we know it is there because of the auroras that emanate from it. Okay? So I believe that when the Revelation 20 verse 9 refers to, I'm sorry, I got interrupted. So I believe the beloved city is Holy Jerusalem. Um, so if it was no longer visible after the millennial reign ended, which I believe is the case, then how could it be surrounded when the attack on the camp of the saints occurred around, say, between the 1900 and 1940s? Well, the Auroras are currently above the camp of the saints, and they emanate from Holy City Jerusalem above. So when the camp of the saints was surrounded, um, back in the time frame that I believe it was, in the early 20th century, so then was Holy City Jerusalem above it, even though I believe that at that time it was already an interdimensional city. Now, it's very possible that the beloved city only became interdimensional after the camp of the saints was attacked in the early 20th century. Okay, so there's no way to really prove it one way or another, but I think that if Revelation 20 verse 9 is telling us um, that Gog, Magog, and the nations were as many as the sand of the sea, then we should be seeing some sort of a presence of a large population in Magog, which is actually a nation, it's a place. And the area is Siberia, according to historical record. But again, currently Siberia is mostly uninhabited. So where are those multitudes that would be a part of this attack? Okay. Um, so if the attack is upon the camp of the saints and the beloved city, upon the earth, maybe it is written that way in Revelation because at the time of the attack, Holy City Jerusalem was visible. Now, it could also have been interdimensional and visible only as auroras at that time. Of course, there's no way to verify this. We don't really have proof. It's just a matter of how you think about it. The way that I think about it is that it was possibly interdimensional already at the time of the attack, which I believe was in the early 20th century. So the main evidence that, or the main reason why I believe that the camp of the saints is currently in the inner earth and has been since the 1940s is the diary account of Admiral Byrd, which has been disregarded and disbelieved by many. But I believe it is mostly a true account, although it has been somewhat altered, particularly because the prophecy about our time given to Admiral Byrd by the Master, who I do believe was Yeshua, whom he encountered in the inner earth, that prophecy has come true in our time. The prophecy that there would be no safety in our medicine nor in our military. In the decades to come. Well, they didn't say decades to come, but that in the time to come, which I believe is what we encountered during the past 5 years. Okay, and I talked more about that already in a previous video. Additionally, the whereabouts of Admiral Byrd for 3 hours during the time his diary tells us he was in the inner earth are shrouded in mystery. There are extremely strange encounters as well, reported by the military contingent that accompanied Admiral Byrd at the time of his encounter with the inner earth entities. Reports and evidence from this event were destroyed and classified. Afterward, Admiral Byrd was silenced and died a mysterious death. And apparently his son also did, because his son knew a lot of what his father did. And it appears that the diary of Admiral Byrd his son had that diary. So he must have known a lot about what had happened, which is why they had to silence him as well. So all of this very suspicious information tells me that Admiral Byrd's diary was probably the truth, and that there has been a cover up, which of course is a complete failure, because the cover up has only caused more suspicion, um, and more interest in delving into the matter. So more about all of that in future videos. For now, let me continue with the auroras, which have moved further south than has been witnessed for possibly more than a century. This shows us that the heavenly Jerusalem can certainly be mobile at Yahuwah's command. When Holy City Jerusalem moves southward, Yahuwah is moving within our realm, dear remnant, and there are likely angels and saints aboard. That is, aboard Holy City Jerusalem. They are, in effect, passengers, the passengers of Ezekiel 39. The movement of the auroras into areas where large populations live is certainly a way in which the principate of Mashiach is starting to be revealed, dear remnant. I'm not going to get into scientific explanations for the auroras, because scientific explanations are worldly and deceptive. I believe that there is no outer space in the earthly realm, and the earth is not a globe, because the Holy Scriptures do not describe the earth as a globe. And it makes no mention of planets. Instead, it describes layers of realms separated by firmaments. So there are firmaments separating realms. But is there outer space somewhere beyond the firmaments? The book of Melchizedek, History of the Universe, writes of other worlds. And I've put a link to the book of Melchizedek in the description. And this is the, I believe the one that I have a link for you is, it's an audio book, and it's on YouTube. And so in that book, it is basically they describe worlds beyond the firmaments. At least that's the way that I understand what they are writing. It is possible that those worlds can be called planets. And actually, his book is titled History of the Universe. So maybe those worlds are within a universe, right? And of course, the earth in which we live, which has layers of firmaments above it, is a part of that universe. So in that sense, it could be said that there are planets in a universe, but those are outside of our reach. And I'll explain why I'm saying that in a moment. At the moment, I'm actually thinking about whether the book of Melchizedek is a trustworthy source. I do believe it is. It is not exactly an apocryphal book. I'm not sure whether it is divinely inspired. I do believe it is, just based on what I have read in it so far. It's entirely consistent with the rest of Scripture, and the way in which Yahuwah is described, as well as the angels and Adam and what is said. There are no inconsistencies with other apocryphal books or the Holy Scriptures. And I believe that book of Melchizedek has been written with a person that lives now in our time. And, I do believe that we can trust spiritual sources from people living in our time, especially since we're in the last days, and it was prophesied that in the last days, Yahuwah's Spirit would pour out upon young men, old men, women, and that they would be prophesying, that they would have dreams and see visions. And so I do believe that it is, but You can take a look at it and decide for yourself whether you think it is a trustworthy source. I certainly do think it is. And it goes back to the very beginning, the time of the creation of the universe, and it goes through the time of the ages when the angels and Yahweh, sorry, were the only entities in existence. And then it goes through the time of the fall, of the angels, and the creation of Adam, and beyond that as well. So, and it's very beautifully written. So I would really recommend that you have a listen to that audio video, which is on YouTube. And as a matter of fact, on Scribd, SCRIBD, it's a website. You can subscribe for about $12 a month, and you have access to all kinds of literature, holy and non-scriptural, that is, regular information or books. You can get access to those through Scribd, and I recommend that you do that. The Book of Melchizedek is on there as well. You can download it or read it as an ebook if you prefer. But I think it's a treasure, so I'd really recommend that you try and get a hold of that if you can. They do allow, I think, 3 free downloads, so you may want to take advantage of that if you don't want to subscribe to it. Now, getting back to the point here, the Throne of Yahuah, according to the book of Abraham, is in the 7th firmament. So the book of Abraham is an apocryphal book as well. It's not actually considered one of the main apocryphal books, but it is a writing which is age old. It's not written recently, like the book of Melchizedek is. The earth is in the 5th firmament. From his throne in the 7th firmament, Yahuwah looks upon his creation, who dwell in the firmaments beneath his. The Holy Scriptures clearly tell us that the earth has a firmament above it. This firmament separates the waters below, which are our seas and oceans, from the waters above. The waters above are located above the firmament. This means that there's a great body of water above the firmament. Additionally, we have no way to penetrate the firmament that separates us from the waters above. So here are the relevant verses from Esdras chapter 6, verse 41, and Genesis chapter 1, verse 7 to 8. So Esdras writes, "Upon the 2nd day thou madest the spirit of the firmament, and commandest it to part asunder, and to make a division betwixt the waters, that the one part might go up, and the other remain beneath." And then in Genesis, it describes the creation of the firmament, stating, "And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so." These verses highlight the biblical account of the firmament's creation and its significance in the context of the Apocrypha. So what then is a firmament? A firmament is described by Google vaguely as an expanse of heavens. The book of Abraham is an apocryphal book, like I said. In chapter 19 and 20, Abraham is taken up into the heavens, and he sees at least 7 firmaments. His description makes it very clear that there is a separation among the firmaments, and the firmaments appear to be layers, with the higher firmament overlooking the one beneath. The 7th firmament is the highest one, the abode of Yahuwah. Also, it was not possible for Abraham to simply move at will amongst the firmaments. Abraham was taken to these firmaments by an angel. The firmaments are firm, and firm means having a solid, almost unyielding surface or structure. So the firmaments are solid and cannot be traversed at will by earthly being, and certainly not by spaceships or satellites. So here's Abraham's description of the firmaments in chapter 19 and 20 in the book of Abraham. It's fairly long, but I believe it's worth the read. And let me just say here that this is additional information which was left out of the biblical canon. And it's unfortunate that that's the case, because sometimes when in reading, Genesis, it's kind of unclear where Abraham came from and what exactly the nature of his relationship with Yahuah is. There's not much background information given about Abraham. We just don't know very much about him, but well, suddenly there he is. And so it's really helpful to actually go and read the apocryphal books and other books which are not even part of the Apocrypha, because they give you a more grounded understanding of who some of our biblical ancestors are. Okay, so here's chapter 19. Okay, and a voice came to me out of the middle of the fire saying, Abraham, Abraham. And I answered, saying, Here am I. And he said, Look at the wide places which are under the firmament, on which you now stand. Notice that no other place has yielded the one for whom you have searched, or who has loved you. While he was still talking, the areas opened up. Below me were the heavens, and I saw a fire which was widespread. There was a light, which is the storehouse, the vault of life. There was the dew that Yahuah will use to awaken the dead, the spirits of the righteous, those that had gone on before, and the spirits of those souls who are yet to be born. Judgment and righteousness, peace and blessing, and an innumerable host of angels, and the living ones, and the power of the invisible glory sat above the living ones. All of these were in the seventh firmament on which I stood. Now, isn't that wonderful, dear remnant, that, this scripture, and I consider it scripture, is confirming the origin of our souls. All of our souls inhabit the seventh heaven. Our souls, our spirits are with Yahuah before we come into being on earth. So that is a beautiful thing. We're all in the seventh heaven before we come here. And of course, we all look to the joy of the day when we return to the seventh heaven to be with Yahuah. Okay, so continuing with the book of Abraham, and I looked down from the high mountain on which I stood onto the sixth firmament, and there I saw a host of angels of pure spirit, that is incorporeal, without bodies, whose duty was to carry out the commands of the fiery angels who are upon the seventh firmament. And some translations call it the eighth and not the seventh firmament. Okay, so Abraham is standing suspended over the sixth firmament. So I, Abraham, looked down on the sixth firmament, and there were no other powers of any form, only angels of pure spirit. I was standing on its elevation, and on this firmament there was nothing in any form, and no other host, but only the spiritual angels. I saw a host in the seventh firmament, and he commanded that the sixth firmament should be removed from my sight. And I saw there on the fifth firmament the powers of the stars, which carry out the commands laid upon them, and the elements of the earth obeyed them. Okay, so the stars that we see every night up in the skies, those have powers, and they carry out commands. And as a matter of fact, they are a type of angel as well, dear remnant. Okay, the firmament itself, according to the book of Ezra, is a spirit. He speaks of the spirit of the firmament. Okay, so it's a sentient entity. The earth is a sentient entity. It's a bit hard to get all those N's and T's in there. Okay, so yeah, this, this is all about the auroras, because it's speaking of the it's explaining to us where these auroras are coming from. They're coming from Holy City Jerusalem, which is at this time suspended between earth and the firmament above us. Okay, so it's just kind of giving you a whole picture, a way to understand the makeup of this realm that we inhabit. Okay, that's why I'm getting into some of this. And I think it's just really interesting information that most people just don't know anything about. Okay, so bear with me. I hope you find this interesting. So, chapter 20. And the eternal mighty one said to me, Abraham, Abraham. And I said, Here I am. And he said to me, Look at the stars which are beneath you, and number them for me, and then tell me their numbers. And I said, How can I? I am just a man made of the dust of the earth. And he said to me, I will make your progeny a nation as large as the number of the stars and as powerful as the power of the stars, and I will set these people a section piece for me as my own inheritance. They will be distinct from those of Azazel, and yet I include Azazel in my house. So here I believe a distinction is being made between the Israelites and the other nations. Those of Azazel are the other nations, the ones that were not set apart. Not that Yahuwah did not create them. However, they would be worshiping other gods, which actually are the fallen angels. So I believe that is what is being referred to here. Okay, so Yahuwah says, they will be distinct from those of Azazel, and yet I include Azazel in my house. So here he's saying, of course, that there can still be redemption for those who are of the other nations, who are not part of the people who are set apart as my inheritance. Okay, and I said, Eternal and mighty one, let your servant speak before you, and do not let your fury ignite against your chosen one. Look, before you led me up, Azazel reproached and insulted me. Since he is now not before you, how can you establish yourself with them? So while Abraham is protesting against others being included in the house of Yahuwah, a little bit of jealousy perhaps. Okay, at least that's how I read it. And so Yahuwah says in chapter 21, Look beneath your feet at the firmament and understand the creation represented and foretold in this expanse, the creatures who exist in it, and the ages prepared after it. And I looked beneath my feet and beneath the sixth heaven, and saw the earth and its fruits, and what moved upon it, and its beings that moved, and the host of its men, and the ungodliness of some of their souls, and the righteous deeds of other souls. I saw the lower regions and the torment, perdition, in the abyss. And I saw the sea and its islands, its monsters, Leviathan and its fishes, and Leviathan and his lair, his realm, and the worlds which lay above him, and his movements and the destructions he caused the world. I saw there the streams and the rivers, and with their waters rising and their winding courses. And I saw there the Garden of Eden and its fruits, the source of the river that issues from it, the trees and their blossoms, and the men, ones who did good deeds. And I saw it, the garden, their foods and their restfulness. And I saw there a multitude of men and women and children, half of them on the right side of the door, and half of them on the left side of the door. So that is a vision that Abraham saw. And after that, Yahuwah tells him about the last days. So that is the apocalypse of Abraham, where the destiny of humanity is explained. And that's actually the topic of this video, but you can actually find the Book of Abraham in Kindle books. So I just wanted to let you know where I found the Book of Abraham. It's a Kindle book, and it's called The Lost Books of the Bible Great Rejected Texts by Joseph B. Lumpkin. Okay, so if you're interested in reading more from the Book of Abraham, that's where I found it. You can probably actually order a hard book on Amazon, but it's also available as a Kindle book if you have Kindle. Okay, and so, dear remnant, again, these verses from the Book of Abraham tell us that earth is in the fifth firmament, and the fifth firmament of heaven, which separates the waters from the earth, from the waters below, is the abode of the stars. These stars carry out commands given to them, and the elements of the earth obey the stars. Here in the Book of Abraham, it is not stated that stars are angels. However, the Holy Scriptures do have verses that tell us angels are symbolized as stars, which could in fact mean that the stars we see in the night sky are incorporeal angels, angels without bodies. Okay, so Revelation chapter 1 verse 20 states, the seven stars are the angels of the seven churches. And Revelation 20 verse 4 suggests that stars represent angels, indicating a cosmic battle. And Job 38 verse 7 mentions, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Okay, and Judges chapter 5 verse 20 also refers to stars in the context of angels fighting. Okay, so the sixth heaven of firmament is the abode of angels that are incorporeal without bodies. And the seventh firmament is the abode of Yahuah. And the fifth firmament, the abode of the stars, the power of the stars, which we see every night when we look up into the heavens. I myself, and I'm sure many of you, have witnessed stars moving in the night sky. And this is happening more and more frequently and more obviously. I'm sure many of you have seen this. In fact, there's a video on YouTube that literally is showing these stars moving in the sky. It's really quite amazing to observe. So these are the incorporeal angels of should be fifth firmament, as I mentioned. And they are very active during this time when Ezekiel chapter 39 is being fulfilled. Okay? So again, the earth is in the fifth firmament, and beneath the earth are the lower regions of the abyss and the abode of Leviathan. And of course, Eden, at the time of Abraham, was on earth in the fifth firmament. But now I do believe it's in the inner earth for safekeeping. All right, so I believe, dear remnant, that the magnitude of the auroras on November 11th announce the beginning of the fulfillment of, well, maybe not the beginning of it, but they announce that Ezra chapter 4, for Ezra chapter 6, verse 18 to 19 is in the process of being fulfilled. And it's a prophecy that in the last days, Yahuwah would visit the earth to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness. Okay? And that is why we see the disasters unfolding, and we also are witnessing a lot of tribulation at this time. Many people are going through a lot of spiritual warfare, especially those who are close to Yahuwah. Okay, and the tribulations are expanding into the rest of the population as well. But Yahuwah promises deliverance for his remnant from those tribulations. And we've talked about that many times in the past. And so I just want to lift up prayer for each of you. whatever your circumstances are, we all need prayer. And especially if you have been experiencing tribulations that can be extremely difficult to endure. Just remember that Yahuwah is ever at your side. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this before I close this video. But I do believe we are seeing answers to our prayer far more rapidly than ever before. And that's because we are in the age of righteousness. Okay, so I believe that we are going to see the passengers, the angels, present in more obvious ways in our realm, as the removal of corruption from the world. It's already underway. Okay. I believe that we are starting to see evidence of the infrastructure being taken down, and the auroras are a key part of that. Okay, I've talked about that in the past before. Remember that the weapons of God are being burned by those coming from Yeshurun, which is the camp of the saints. They're being burned without fire. Okay, the electrical grid, which is integral to artificial intelligence, was heavily disrupted by the G4 solar flare that accompanied the Auroras on November 11th of 2025. Okay, and this disruption happened on a global scale. A more powerful Aurora event could totally snuff out Project Bluebeam and transhumanism, which depend on electrical fields. Was the 11/11 Aurora event a warning from Yahuwah that the technology of the last days Babylon system is about to be snuffed out by the mere presence of auroras? Because I do believe the source is the auroras, okay? Because those are coming from Holy City Jerusalem. And this is the source of all command that goes out to all entities in the universe, including the sun, okay? I recall that the stars in the sky were incredibly huge on the first night after the auroras of November 11th. Stars are angels. It almost looked as if, when I looked into the night sky, that it seemed as if the sky was closer, that it had come closer to the earth. And there were a couple of stars that were just significantly bigger than they had been before. One particular one was just massive. It almost looked like a distant light, like a distant street light, rather than just a light in the sky, meaning a regular star. And I do believe that it's a wonder. It's one of the wonders that were actually prophesied, signs and wonders sent by Yahuwah in the last days. And then the other phenomenon was the moon. The moon was so bright. Now, I live out here in the country, and normally there are not too many lights in the street around here. So when it's nightfall and there's no cloud cover, it's really dark. If we're going to our backyard, we can't even see our feet. But the moon was so bright that we could see our shadows on the ground. It was really amazing. We could see the shadow of the house on the ground as well. So I've never seen stars that huge, and I have never seen the moon that bright either. It was bigger as well, the moon. So it was definitely a supermoon phenomenon, but there was nothing about that in the official mainstream media. In Joel chapter 2, verse 30, it is written, and so this prophecy of Joel, I will display wonders in the sky and on earth, blood, fire, and columns of smoke, is indeed being fulfilled, dear remnant. For as the wonders in the skies increase, so do natural disasters involving fire and columns of smoke. For there are more volcanoes exploding around the world than ever before in recorded human history. And they are manifesting as the wrath of Yahuah in these last days. And tragically, there are many communities affected. People have lost loved ones. Thousands of people have lost their lives in some of these disasters happening around the world. This was prophesied to happen. It's heartbreaking, and our prayers go out to all those who have lost loved ones, but prayerful that many will come to the understanding of what it is that they are witnessing in our world today. These are not natural events. Some are saying that the Auroras were Project Bluebeam. I doubt it, dear remnant. The people who study these, even though it's not just a scientific phenomenon, they know how to document the information. If there were just plain lights in the sky, there wouldn't have been the impacts that were seen on the grid system. There were definitely interruptions in the communication system during that time, which indicate that it was not just lights in the sky produced by Project Bluebeam. And also, we saw phenomena that, like the stars just seeming closer to the Earth, several stars just bigger and brighter than ever, and the moon being exceedingly bright. Okay, so these are definite signs that there are major changes underway. It's a change in the age, from one age to another. There is a recent video by YouTube channel Katara featured on another channel called Uncovering Hidden History, which clearly indicates that the angels are here. They have arrived, and I believe they're arriving as reapers of the harvest. So listen in.
So I want to talk to you about something, and I've been praying on it, and I have had counsel about it, talked to James about it, talked to a pastor about it, talked to my elders about it, a couple close friends that I think have pretty good discernment, and was curious to what they thought or felt, or and I think it's taken me a couple of days to get to the point where I'm willing to talk about it today. This has never happened to me before, so let me tell you right now, I'm just sharing an experience with me, or an experience that I've had, and I think that it's important that you do what's best for you, and if you have questions or concerns, to pray about it. This is not for me to persuade anything or anyone, other than I really hope, and I've said this repeatedly, I hope that you see that walking closer to God and repenting and accepting the Lord Jesus Christ as your Savior is, folks, what else do you have now, right? We're being separated. I do believe that. I don't claim to be anything other than a woman sitting here in her Sunday dress, about to, feed some cows and make sure dinner's going and hopping to church and hopping back. So I'm sharing something with you. As you can see, I'm very cautious about what I'm saying and how I deliver this, because to be honest with you, I think this is one of the most important experiences of my life. And this has never happened before to me. And, we'll just press forth with it. I also think that it's important for me to share this. So here's the situation. So the other day, today's Sunday afternoon, 5 days ago, I was down at the other side of my property towards my house. And you've seen, if you watch my videos, the area that I'm talking about, oftentimes you see that's where a lot of my deer, it's where my deer are, my does. It's a beautiful area. That's where all the little fawns are being born over in the woods over there. It's a very special place. It's in the north, and it's beautiful, and it's sort of it has a spiritual aura about it because it is just beautiful, right? So I was finishing up the barn, went to the house, and I got down to the bottom of the driveway, and the car was kind of cool, and I had gotten a text, and I texted the person back. And one of the last things that I said in the text, this is on text, okay, is that I said, you know, this battle is not ours anymore. And this is, if you've kept up with social media, especially over the last 10 to 12 days or so, week and a half, 2 weeks or so, it's been pretty ferocious, vicious, a lot of division, a lot of infighting, and it's from everywhere, okay? It is what it is. And so I typed that and I sent it, and I was just looking at a couple of things real quick. I was about to go into the house, and I looked to my left out this window right here, but it would be over there, okay? I'm facing the area I'm talking about is actually just right over there and down. And I saw something, and it startled me, and it overwhelmed me. You know, and I'm the closest thing that I can describe this as is a vision. I've certainly expressed concerns and opinions and things like that on this channel, and I've talked about a couple of times where I've had dreams, or I've, you know, you feel like the Holy Spirit's moving you to do something and you don't know why you're doing it at the moment, but a month later, a year later, 5 years later, you go, oh, that's what God was doing. Well, I've talked about that. I think that is perfectly in line with a lot of y'all, but I've never had this happen before. And I've been very hesitant to talk about it because this has kind of rocked my world, and I know it's serious, at least I feel it is. And you know, when things like this happen, you wonder, am I losing my mind? Maybe, but now I don't think so. So I look to my left, and over the line of trees, which is very vast, I saw some form of a being. Now, it didn't come down from the sky. It wasn't like I saw it fall down from the sky. It was already above the trees, and it was like it was coming down over the tree line and was landing. And I'm going to describe it to you because some of you are going to go, I think you're going to possibly go 2 or 3 different ways with this. You know, I already have my answer, I'm pretty sure. So the main thing that I don't want is to be afraid to talk about it, because I feel it is in some form a message, and I don't think God's going to give me if I think God's going to give me a vision, do I think God's telling me to shut up about it? I've thought about it for 4 or 5 days now and talked to some good people about it, and I don't think so. So I looked up over the tree, and the best way that I can describe this to you, so bear with me, okay? Because I still have questions, and I may never get the answers. It may be something where I won't ever get all the answers. I just need to understand the message. You could just, okay, first of all, it's impossible to describe this because I've never seen anything like this before in my life, and I don't think possibly you have either. The first thing that came to mind was that it was an angel, whether it be an archangel or whether it be a fallen angel. I'm still up in the air on that. James has his opinion on it, but I do have tidbit to kind of lean you possibly in one way. You can see I still you can question some of the things. It's so unbelievable. But it was black. It was not white. There was no color. You could see all texture, specifically of wings. So it looked like almost like a human being coming over in the shape of a human, but it had massive wings. detailed wings. I raise birds. I've raised all sorts of fowl, from chicken, hundreds and hundreds of chickens, to turkey, to guinea, to geese. I mean, so you know I'm very familiar with lots of different textures and looks and colors and the layering of feathers. And I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like this. It was the most unbelievable caped feathering, even in its darkness. And, you know, James asked me, he said, was it more of like a shadow? And I said, it could have been, but it happened so fast that it's hard for me to know. I didn't see any armor, no color, no fire, nothing. And it was coming over towards me, like it was going, and it was coming down on its right foot, and it had a sword. And when I tell you how massive this thing is, there's no way for me to describe it other. I told James, I said, I think what startled me the most was the size. And I'm watching this thing kind of, it's like it's already coming down and descending onto the earth and landing right as it's starting to land on its right foot. It didn't talk, but I heard a message. Or at least that's the best way I know to describe it. Because James asked me, he said, because he's the first person, it freaked me out so bad. I called him on the phone. He was driving and he was in a dead spot. When he got home, he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And we went back on my phone on the timing of all of this. And this is how it gets even more interesting. But the message that I feel, I don't feel, I know, I heard, is we are here. I didn't feel scared. I wasn't intimidated. I did not feel threatened. I did not feel danger from it. But I, you know how you're sitting there and you're like, am I dreaming? You know, it's that moment of, I don't even know how to describe it because I've never had this happen before. And the interesting thing, I will say this tidbit, is when I blinked and then it wasn't there anymore. And so I started looking around, and in the sky was a black buzzard, and it was circling. Now, if you're native, some of you might say that, question, could that have been a shapeshifter? Could it have been, you know, there in out west, you obviously have what some people would call skinwalkers. And so I go there because I think some of you might. I did not feel an evil presence, and at all. No threat. And that is very important because that's one of the first things the pastor asked me. He said, how did it make you feel? And I said, it didn't scare me. It didn't threaten me. It didn't do anything like that. I said, I almost want to think that it would, had I continued with what I was seeing, it's almost like I felt like it was going to just sort of take its wing, which was honestly the size of a school bus, and kind of just push me to the side. That's how I feel, and I hope that's correct. So because I didn't have an answer initially in terms of what's happened, I talked to James when he got home. I went to a pastor that evening, and I've spoke with both who I call my elders, and they are amazed by it, had a lot of questions by it, and nobody that I have spoken to feels that this was a demonic presence. One person asked me if I thought it was something fallen, and I said, well, it could be. I said, but the thing is I didn't feel a smothering or a fear or frightened. It was, I'm still overwhelmed by it, by what it is, but number two, the size. Okay. It was rather peaceful, to be honest with you. It was, and when you have the voice of, or the message of, we are here, I could take that several different ways. So, and you may too. So I'm still questioning things about it, but here, and James and I have been going over this for hours. We talked about it before church, after church, at lunch, here, whatever. And here's what I want to say. I don't have the answers. Please pray on it if you do. But I want to say that, you know, I told James, I said, whether it was a, let's call it a, quote, good angel or bad angel, quote, whatever. The thing that I'm taking away the most is the message or vision of the spiritual warfare that is happening, I think, and the spiritual warfare that is coming, and what this world's going to go through. And I'm going to tell you what right now. The one thing that I am absolutely, this is making my temperature rise already with the temperatures. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around a war that would involve such unbelievable things. Remember, I texted probably a minute, 2 minutes maybe, prior to seeing this. I wrote on text, the battle is no longer ours. And I think in terms of the level I'm speaking of with that, I think I got my confirmation. We have an important part here in mission, and that is to do the work that we are called to do for God, to bring more people to God. But to feel or think that we can compete with the level that God has warned us about, I'm telling you, no. This is why it's important to put your personal battle and beefs down and to understand you are being called away from the world to get you right, because if you are being called like that and you are using your discernment, you have a critical role right now. It's understanding what that is. So I've gotten a huge sense of peace with this as well, because I think as mothers, especially, dads too, but we're fighting battles every single day that honestly we don't need to be focusing on anymore. And we need to be telling everyone that we know how real this really is.
So that was powerful and very special. Bless her dear heart. The message of the angel to Patara was, we are here. When I heard that, I thought, wow, I believe this message was meant for all of us, and certainly for me in the making of this video, because it is miraculous how I even came across and watched that video. Dear Remnant, I believe the angels and saints are the passengers of Ezekiel 39. I've been saying that for a long time. They are in our realm, especially now that we're in the age of righteousness. Their presence is marked. They are intervening to sever out the continually employed. The continually employed include those who took the procedure and have not been cleansed of it. They have not repented of it and come out of it. It includes those who are clones. Clones have been in our realm ever since the millennial reign of Yeshua ended. That is one of the ways in which the earth was repopulated. But and there are some actually really high quality videos being put out at this time, which have a lot of revealed truth in them. But I believe they are slipping into these videos, some of them, messages to get us to think that we are all manufactured beings, that we all hail from these incubator babies of the early 20th century. And that is completely inaccurate. There are some who are clones, There are some who were genetically altered, but there are also many of us who are Yahuwah's. We are his creation, and he put us here as well. Okay, so it is not true that everybody is manufactured, as some of these videos are trying to get people to think. I believe it's an extremely dangerous message that is being put out there right now, and I think it could break some people's hearts and possibly even make some people open to the transhuman agenda. So I do believe that that propaganda being put out now is a way to plant the seeds to get people to think that, well, I'm already altered. What difference does it make now? Okay, I can never reach God. I'm without God. I might as well just go the rest of the way. So it's very dangerous. And so I just lift up a prayer for people to just be aware that that is another lie and deception coming packaged with a lot of other revealed truths. So we have to always watch these videos with discernment, okay, to separating out truth from deception, okay. Again, I believe the angels and saints are the passengers of Ezekiel 39. I believe that's what the term passengers in Ezekiel 39 means, as I've been saying for quite some time. They are in our realm intervening to sever out the continually employed. The prophecy of Matthew and Mark tell us that in the last days, the angels would separate the wheat from the tares and remove the unjust from amongst the just. Enoch blessed the elect of the remote generation living in the day of tribulation, when the wicked would be removed. This is a time when the reapers of the harvest are entering into our realm. Because ultimately, like I've said before, the vast majority, if not all of those left in the world, will be the righteous. And that is what the age of righteousness means, that the wicked are going to be removed from the earth, and as Enoch and many others have written, the righteous will inherit the earth. And so those who are to be removed, the tares, are those who are Yahuwah's creation, but who reject him. They are the continually employed. Also amongst the continually employed are those who took the genetic modification these last few years and never repented and got cleansed of it. And then there are also those who are cloned, manufactured by these dark entities. I do believe that Yahuwah led me to Patara's video. I don't even know why I decided to watch the video on the channel where that featured Patara's video. That channel is Uncovering Hidden History. I've been wanting to watch some of the videos from that channel, Uncovering Hidden History, but I've not really had a chance. But for some reason, I thought to myself, what is she talking about in this video titled Something is Coming? I thought, well, let's see what that is. And there was Patara's video, and I do believe there was an important message for me there. I was drawn to that title. And I do believe it is Yahuwah who is coming, and that it is the principate of Mashiach that is being revealed. It is indeed the end of Satan's little season, dear remnant. The passengers are arriving. The passengers are the angels of saints. They are already waging warfare against the wicked who have deceived and oppressed the nations. And the angels are here, and they're already beginning to reap the harvest, starting with removing the wicked, the unjust, from amongst the just. Well, also in Patara's video, she saw a dark entity with wings as large as a school bus. It was holding a sword. When it was gone, a buzzard circled overhead. Now, what is a buzzard? A buzzard is a medium to large bird of prey belonging to the genus Buteo, commonly found in Europe. In North America, a buzzard is often described as a large bird that feeds on the flesh of dead animals, similar to a vulture. Okay? I do believe that the buzzard at the end of Patara's vision could be symbolic of the prophecy in Ezekiel 39, verse 17 to 19. Okay, and so this is what those verses tell us. And you, son of Adam, thus says Adonai Yahweh, speak unto every feathered fowl, and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves and come, gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice, that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Yasharel, that you may eat and drink blood. You shall eat the flesh of the mighty and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, of rams, of lambs, and of gods, of bullocks, all of them fatlings of Bashan. And you shall eat fat till you be full, and drink blood till you be drunken of my sacrifice which I have sacrificed for you. Thus you shall be filled at my table with horses and chariots, with mighty men, and with all men of war, says Adonai Yahweh. And I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathens shall see my judgment that I have executed, and my hand that I have laid upon them. So the house of Yasharel shall know that I am Yahweh Elohim from that day and forward. And so these verses appear to reveal the fate of the heathen who worship false gods. These verses follow from the verses that prophesied that the continually employed are severed out and buried in the valley of Hamon Gog. These verses reveal that not all the heathen who reject Yahuwah are continually employed. So a separate fate is prepared for these heathen. Perhaps the buzzard that Patara saw after she saw the angel is symbolic of these verses of Ezekiel. I believe so. According to YouTube channel that I shared with you earlier, Tim Pool, who posted the video clip on the Auroras, another major Aurora event is still coming, and he said that a few days ago. And so there continues to be a threat of a potential type of EMP or Carrington event. It is very possible that Yahweh could allow such an event to occur as a way to snuff out the foundation of this Babylonian technocracy we live in. Remain deep in prayer, dear remnant, and I pray with you and for you all. May Yahuwah give you guidance on how to be prepared should such an event occur. This morning, with very minimal provocation, the power went off in my house for about an hour. That was not this morning, that was actually a couple of days ago. And that raised my awareness that I ought to get some surplus or some supplies to enable my family to hopefully survive for as long as possible. My prayer is that such an event would not occur during winter, when temperatures in my area and in much of the northern hemisphere can drop to -10 or more degrees Fahrenheit. Tomorrow we're going to be in the 20s all day long. Okay, so I'm just praying that for all of us, that such an event would not occur at this time. We don't know. We do understand, and Yahuwah has said that He will deliver His chosen, His remnant, from trials and tribulation during these last days. So we can trust fully in Him. And again, I'm sure many of you are already seeing that prophecy being fulfilled in your lives. He is seeing you through. It's just amazing. I see definite signs of a change in the age from wickedness to righteousness. And I want to share more about that with you in future videos. But I want to say for now that the most prominent sign that the times have changed is that Yahuwah's answers to prayers come faster than ever before. There are some prayers that still remain unanswered, at least not, they seem unanswered from the standpoint of it's not fulfilled, but He knows in His great wisdom why they are still pending. We do understand as His followers that sometimes certain things have to be put into place before a certain prayer can be answered in the visible way that we are praying for. So we just persevere in prayer and faithfully and trustingly wait for His answer to come. Okay? When it comes to daily provision, Yahuwah is performing great miracles. I'm sure he's doing so in your lives as well. May we continue to witness these great miracles, which fulfill the prophecy of 4 Ezra 16, that we shall have tribulation in these last days, but Yahuwah will deliver us from the same. We see all around us reports of natural disasters again, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, floods, and these are occurring closer and closer to human settlements. We'll lift up prayers concerning these, especially for Yah's mighty protection of his remnant throughout the world. So have no fear, but look to Yahuwah for provision while still preparing as best you can, according to the guidance that you must seek from Yahuwah through prayer. He knows what you need. He is right there by your side, directing your steps, so that each of you knows what to do in your circumstances. Okay? I'm sure, as I've said, that you are experiencing his provision in your daily lives more than ever in these past few months since we entered into the age of righteousness. At the same time, the wicked ones are increasing spiritual warfare against the remnant. So just turn to him trustingly. I have literally seen an attack and then Yahuwah's reversal of it. I've literally seen that happening again and again, many ways, in small or little things, and also in bigger things. Whatever Satan tries to do to remove, Yahuwah responds by giving back more. So it's really just amazing. He's really making us witnesses to his mighty power of deliverance from tribulation in these last days. Remember, Enoch blessed the elect in this remote generation, living in the tribulation when the wicked are to be removed. And Daniel's prophecy of the 1,290 days and the 1,335 days prophesied, blessed is he who waits until the 1,335th day. So we are blessed if we wait, trusting fully in Yahuwah until the tribulation ends, trusting fully in his deliverance from our trials in these last days, as wickedness continues to be removed and the principate of Mashiach continues to be revealed. Okay, we wait trusting. We don't break down. We don't turn in anger to Yahuwah asking why he's allowing these things to happen. We just trust and we love him trustingly, and he responds most amazingly. So that is why we are blessed if we wait until the 1,335th day, because that is the day in which wickedness is completely removed. It is done. Okay? And so we are blessed to witness the advent of the full presence of the Principate of Mashiach. Yahuwah has a plan for his remnant to restore us to Eden, physically, mentally, spiritually. We'll begin to see as we turn to Torah and unto righteousness and trust in him fully and unfailingly, regardless of the intensity of the tribulation. Okay? He intends to restore us fully. And I will share with you more in future videos what Yahuwah is revealing to me about what the process of restoration means at this stage before we enter into the new earth. I have so many things I'll share with you in future. I have to keep track of them so that I actually do all of them. I really do plan to. Okay? So Ezra chapter 16 verse 40 reminds us that we do not belong to this world in this time of wickedness. Okay? Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrows shall come upon it on every side. O my people, hear my word. Make you ready to your battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. He that sows as if he will not reap, also he that plants the vineyard as he shall not gather the grapes. So just be aware, it's a time of a great shift, a shift from one age to another. And it's a shift which is full of tumult and tribulation, but also wondrous signs and miracles from Yahuwah for those who trust him. And there'll come a point in time when he's going to move his people to a place within his borders, okay? As prophesied by Baruch and Ezra. And of course, Matthew, who speaks of the wheat being gathered into the barn. Okay, so all of these things are coming. Expect to see wondrous saving miracles from Yahuwah. Even as I walk through the valley, or even as we all walk through the valley of the shadow of death, dear remnant. And so I lift up prayers and love to you all. Until next time, dear remnant, stay blessed. Amen and hallelujah.